the Big 12, because I think some of the storylines out of the Big 12 this week, I look at Oklahoma State, and I don't know how many more different ways that I can tell you it has been long past due to hit the panic button in Stillwater. We talked about this all summer long, and I know that we take a lot of heat on this show for talking about this team just being untalented. There is a lack of talent, especially at the skill positions. I do not buy that somehow these wide receivers, as the legendary Oak State James wants to say, it's the best wide receiver room in the country. It's not close. It's not. You don't have a quarterback. I don't know what is wrong with Ollie Gordon. I don't know where this fighting and chipping and pushing and shoving with guys who shouldn't be able to even speak with you, but yet you want to have officials warning you. I mean, you're looking at the head official telling Ollie Gordon over the weekend to settle down. Like, what are you doing at Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I mean, not anything that you should be doing. And you know what's incredible is you look at Gundy, and it's like I was surprised that the messaging was, oh, officiating and this and that, and the messaging wasn't, hey, like, we have to be better. Hey, like, our execution needs to be better. Hey, by the way, maybe we should get a little more creative on offense. Hey, by the way, maybe we should be better in these different areas. But what does Mike want to do? Mike wants to roll up in the post game, and he wants to talk about how, the officials cost them 3 seconds and, essentially were the reason that they went to overtime in this game.
No, the reason you went to overtime in this game is because Taylon Green and Jaquindon Jackson tore up a pretty average defense. And I think that when we talk about the teams that got exposed this weekend, I don't think there's any doubt Notre Dame is up there. But I also don't think there's any doubt that Oklahoma State, for the second week in a row, struggled to win a football game. And you're now 2-0, and I think you're very lucky to be 2-0. And I think it simply is because Alan Bowman is not a very good quarterback. I honestly, if you had Taylon Green, if he was wearing an Oklahoma State uniform, you'd have won that game by 40 points. But because it's Alan Bowman and he makes terrible decisions, and again, what did I tell you about Alan Bowman? He throws for 326 yards on a 6.8 yard average. He just is not that guy. And you look at the wide receivers, and like DeJon Stribling, and DeJon Stribling, 4 catches for 38 yards is not the stuff of national champions. It's not the stuff of college conference champions. And then after the game, my least favorite coach in the country, who I think Mike Gundy is one of the most overrated guys in all of college football. And I'll continue to say it. If you want to win a national championship at Oak State, Mike Gundy can't be your head coach. End of sentence. That's the whole take. When this team eventually wins a national championship, Mike Gundy won't be the head coach because he makes excuses, he complains, and he takes zero accountability. Zero accountability. He holds his players to zero accountability. And then when they underperform, and they woefully underperformed against Arkansas, he wants to blame everybody but his players.
Steve Shaw's the head of the officiating, and he needs to fix it. He needs to get them all in one room, and everybody has the same rule. They messed something up. I'm not sure what they messed up. I don't really care. But all I know is they gave us a 3-second play on a 9-yard run. And that's where I had an issue with it. They said when the ball was blown dead after the play at 3 seconds after the snap. There's no way. I mean, maybe it was. I've been wrong before, but I'm going to guess it was a 6-second play. Okay, I'm good that you're going to restart the 40, but it wasn't 143. It should be about 139. And here's what's interesting in football. They said, Coach, it's only 3 seconds anyway. And I said, every second counts. Do you realize how many seconds there were left when they tied the game? 2. So I'm just saying, I mean, they said, okay, well, every second counts. Okay, really? It's only 3 seconds, Coach? There was 2 left. Worked out, but it is what it is.
So what did the 2 seconds matter? And again, if you had a quarterback, if you had a defense, we wouldn't be worried about 3 seconds. And if your argument is, well, there were 2 seconds, so then you're telling me that they wouldn't have kicked the field goal? Like, this is all nonsense. Oak State's not a conference championship football team. They don't execute. They don't play defense. And Ollie Gordon is not in the right headspace. That's as simple as I can
Plain
put
as
it.
day.
Like, you look at his performance last year to this year. Is he a guy that runs for 2.9 yards a carry against Arkansas?
No.
Apparently he is. Because you look at his performance this year, and it is not scintillating. It is not. I mean, he has under, what is he got? He ran for 49 yards on 17 carries. And if they don't go to overtime, he doesn't score a touchdown. The Big 12 is in trouble because that team's not good.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing in this game might have been the attitude about it that Oklahoma State brought to the game. I mean, I'm flipping around between all these games over the weekend, and I'm watching parts of this game, and I'm like, dude, like, where's the fire? Where is the game wrecker that was known as Ollie Gordon last year? Where is that? Because Oklahoma State's always been a team that's like kind of edgy and that's how they've gone about winning a lot of games, which is fine. I don't even have a problem with that. But if that's going to disappear in this just best running back in the country candidate is going for 2.9 against Arkansas, like it just tells me everything I need to know about where this program is at. And again, wind the clocks back to Media Day. This is why Media Day was such a problem, because it sets a bad precedent for the season. It sets the wrong tone for the season when you can't build momentum out of Media Day. Why do you think Utah's doing so good? Why do you think some of these other Big 12 schools are doing so good? Well, it starts at Media Day. You have good Media Day. You're strong messaging. You feel good. You head right into week 0, week 1, and you get your first win, and then you're off and running. But that's not what this team's been able to do.
Well, and then there's Colorado. And I don't think any of us thought that Colorado, or at least none of us on this show, thought that Colorado was going to be, something of a world beater. I think we all were wondering, would they go to a bowl game, right? We've talked about 6 being the mark. And then you absolutely go to Nebraska, and you handled your business defensively. That's probably the most shocking part of this game, is that there's no question Colorado is better defensively. There's no question in anybody's mind. You scored 10 points, and you look at the numbers on offense for Colorado. You only had 15 first downs. You had 260 total yards. That offense that is capable of 500 yards a week only put up 260 yards of total offense. And again, and I'm not sure that he's going to survive Shedeur Sanders. But again, you have an offensive line who outside of Seton just isn't capable. And now Shedeur Sanders has taken heat because he said as much.
I mean, how many times did Rowley get touched?
You said what?
How many times did Rowley get touched? There was able, like, of course, whenever you're able to run the ball consistently and whenever you're able to, then that opens up the pass, But it's just like you got to understand, like, what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if, okay, we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it?
Right. Are those kind of like 4th and 1 conversions that haven't gone your guys' way in the last couple? Is that kind of play into everybody's mind? Is that kind of something on your mind thinking about, advancing the ball and whatnot?
Nah, I'd rather, if we're going to go down, I'd rather go down swinging, honestly, because I know I could throw the best punch.
First of all, I don't think he threw his offensive line under the bus. I think he made a very good point. How many times did Dylan Raiola get sacked? None. How many times did Shedeur Sanders get sacked? 6. I mean, everybody ripping Shedeur Sanders this morning because he talked about how often he got hit. I have no problem with that. If we're in a program where we're talking about ultimate accountability, that's what ultimate accountability is. And he's not wrong. You look at the way that front at Nebraska dominated that offensive line.
Yeah.
And you start looking at the total offensive numbers, you're starting to get the idea that offensive line in Boulder is a huge problem.
Yeah, it's their biggest liability. It's the beginning and the end because, again, even last week, or 2 weeks ago, technically now, against North Dakota State, like you saw that when they were successful, he had 3.5, 4 seconds. And when they weren't successful, he had about 1.5 seconds. And that's really the difference in the game. And I'd also like to point out, when we talk about this game, everyone's like, oh, well, what do you mean the defense was good? They gave up 28, almost 30 points. Well, no, actually, the defense only gave up 21 points because he threw a pick 6 in that situation because once again, he was getting grilled in his end zone.
And he clearly heard footsteps on that throw out. I mean, that's just not a throw that Shedeur makes. And I don't know what to think about Colorado. Now, I do know that Nebraska's much better. And I know everybody that hopped on the Matt Rule is not going to turn it around quickly bandwagon. Again, maybe this should just be I told you so Monday.
Yeah.
Because I told you that Matt Rule was going to turn that thing around. And he did.
In Nebraska, Homer on Twitter over the weekend is like, well, if we can just be 8-0 leaving the shoe, we're going to be number 1 seed and we're going to be in the college football playoff. You're going to have to show me a little more before I believe you can beat Ohio State. Like, we're not going to play both sides of the fence where you're going to crap on Colorado and then say this was a quality win for Nebraska. Nebraska's clearly better, but this is still Colorado. It's still embarrassment's probably strong, but not a good offensive line. And it's just this whole situation where people want to go both ways with it. My only critique of what people are saying about Colorado is you can't have it both ways with your team. You can't say that Colorado sucks and they're overhyped and they're terrible and Dion sucks as a coach, and then say that Matt Rule is going to go to the shoe and leave the shoe 8-0 and you guys are going to win a national championship. You don't get to do it both ways.
No, you don't. And I would also point out that Prime and the boys at Colorado got to go to Colorado Springs to take on Colorado State. And that's not the easiest. That is not the easiest way to go.